Hey everybody, Karen here. Welcome back to Unpinned Creative. It's time to revisit my Dephemerember pages and finish them off. So a lot of the initial pages that I created for Dephemerember I did very quickly and just didn't complete them properly, either left the backgrounds plain, but my intention was to come back and revisit them with some more time and space away from the December madness and finish them off more completely. So I'm going to start with day one, which was the hedgehog day, and the prompts were fluff and mason jar. I will link the original videos where I created the page in the description box below. This won't be all of the Dephemerember pages because towards the end of Dephemerember I actually ended up completing most of the pages, but just the ones that I didn't finish as much as I would like to for my journal. So let's get started. So here we have a fairly quite basic and easy peasy page, and it's lovely as it is because the images that I used I really love, but I just want to make them a bit less of pictures glued onto a page and a bit more my style of artwork, I suppose. So the first thing, all I'm really going to do for this page is I want to bring forward this leaf here and add a couple more to create some dimension to the page. And so to do that, I also want to incorporate this pocket a wee bit more into the page. So to do that, I'm just going to take a wooden skewer, and my texture paste. So you could use a stencil for this. Obviously I don't have a leaf stencil, so I'm just going to take my texture paste and I'm going to go over the top of this image with my wooden skewer and create some dimension. So basically I'm just going to use the image as the stencil type thing, but in a different way. Follow the image and create some dimension with the texture paste. So I'm not covering up the image completely. I'm just adding some kind of a 3D element to it, I suppose. So once I have put all this texture paste on, I will come back and color it, and it will become, hopefully, part of the image that was already there. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and I will be back. Okay, so the texture paste I use is homemade, and it's just white gesso, white acrylic paint, and baby powder. So that's what I have so far. And you can just, if you get some texture paste somewhere you don't want it, or it's not looking how you want it to, you can just scrape it off again before it dries. So that's just going to create a bit of dimension to the page. And now I want to add some more leaf fronds coming down here over the corner of this pocket, and one down here I think on the corner of the page. So I'm just going to take a pencil because I'm not 100% confident to do it without doing a little sketch first. And I'm not a drawer. I can't draw. I just draw lines and make it, something that resembles what I'm trying to achieve. So I guess my point is, don't be afraid to just, you know, try. Nature is so beautiful in the fact that it is quite random. So, you know, it's not perfectly symmetrical or that sort of thing. So, and there's nothing that can't be covered up. Okay, there you go. So I'm just going to do the same thing with my texture paste, except that this time I don't have a background. I just have my pencil marks. And I'm going to go right over the edge of that pocket, because if it glues together, I'll just open it up again later. So I can be a bit more random with this one because I don't have the image underneath. Obviously this would be much faster with a stencil. So if you, in the interest of time, you know, use a leaf stencil if you have one. But yeah, I don't have one, and I'm not really into going out and buying stuff that I don't have. I'd rather try and find a solution with what I have already. Unless it's a big project and something that I know I'll use again a lot, and then I will obviously go and buy it. But otherwise I prefer to do something like this, which is find a solution with what I have around me. Okay, and then I just want a little one coming down here. Okay, pretty happy with that. I think that looks very cool. So now I just need to let that dry completely, and then I can color it. And in the meantime I am deciding if I want to add a bit more texture somewhere else, and I'm thinking I might pop some in here and make this look a little bit like water, or like a puddle. So I'm just going to so water is much smoother, you know, it has a smooth surface. But we can create some ripples. Kind of like that. Okay. I'm going to let that dry completely, and then I'll be back to colour it. Okay, so that texture paste is nice and dry now. I am just going to start colouring, and I'm just going to use some water-soluble pastels. They're water-soluble oil pastels, just fairly cheap ones. I'm just going to go over the texture paste with the pastel. This is quite a light green one. And then I'm just going to take a wet paintbrush and go over the top. So you could use watercolor paints or acrylic paint. You could use your ink pads, whatever works for you to add a bit of colour. And then I am just going to bring in the darker green. And I'm focusing the darker kind of on more on the center of the leaf pattern. It's very rainy and stormy here today, so I have the lights on, so the colours on the screen are not exactly great. And then I'm just going to bring in a bit of yellow, I think, as well. Well, this is kind of like an ochre colour, I guess, kind of browny yellow. So I'm fairly happy with that. I mean, I could keep going and do lots of different shading and stuff like that, but in the interests of time, I think that's not too bad. And now this little pool of water, the green in there as well. And a tiny bit of black. Now I am going to get my water soluble pencil. No, I'm not. I'm just going to use my black oil pastel, and I'm just going to go around the edges of the page. I have a very bad headache today, so I'm not very I'm not as fun as I usually am. Not as onto it anyway. Not as onto it as I usually am, for sure. But I really wanted to get this video done and out today for you. And this was a fairly easy one too, not too taxing on my brain. Just keeping the water away from that green as much as possible, because it will just keep smudging. Okay, I am pretty happy with that. So let me let this dry, and then I will pop the other elements back on and show you the before and the after side by side. And I will be back to carry on with this journal Dephemerember finishing off video thingy. My brain is not working. In the next few days I'm also working on the cover. I'm filming the cover. That's a much more longer process. I can't do that in one sitting, so I am working on it, and then I will edit it all together for you and have it as one video once it's done. But I'm quite excited about the cover for that. It's going to be quite cool, I think. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me again today, and I'll see you in the next one.